G'day, Matty.
Hey, Joel, Fletch. How are you?
Matthew, how are you?
Going good, boys. Going good.
That was a good tip.
What a great tip.
A good win.
What a great tip. What was it called?
Where do you get your mail from, MJ? Who's your mailman?
A bloke up on the Central Coast. Pretty clever.
Hey, Matty, we were just discussing about Newcastle and Adam O'Brien. Is he getting the front foot? What about this? As he walks, as the crowd walks in, he's in a dunk tank. And the crowd can have a shot of throwing the ball and dunking it. But it's full of water.
Full of water. Okay.
But no other bodily fluid, so you can spin it if you want. It's up to you. Like if you really hate Adam O'Brien, you could Les Kiss in it. If you don't, or you could just thoughts. Do you think he'd win the crowd back?
Mate, I think it could be pre-game entertainment without a shadow of a doubt. Mate, we were talking the other day. We myself and on backstage was Jack Johns and I, mate. We interviewed Mark Hughes yesterday. We're talking about some of the old night stories over the years, and we had a bloke there called Kenny Hamilton who was Kenny Kick Chase, and he was an unfortunate fellow. He'd had a learning difficulties growing up. He didn't have a license, and he just started turning up to training. And every time me and Joey practice kicks, he was just on the field, he'd firing backs. Hence, we nicknamed him Kenny Kick Chase. So what these do, pre-game, we go out and warm up on the field, and Kenny'd be under the posts, and Joey, for about 10 minutes, would just launch these massive torpees, right, in the warm-up, and the crowd would just go nuts. It was the best. It was the best pre-game entertainment. He'd catch a few too, Kenny.
Yeah, I was going to say, what was his success rate, the kick chaser?
Probably 1 in 5.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, not bad. Better than Clinton Tchaikovsky up there on a certain day.
Hey, Brian, can you share with Matty? So most shows, right, in broadcasting on radio, in the breaks, they're sort of rushing with cramming notes and what are we doing next? And can you tell Matty what we spent our last segment doing?
Eric Grothe Jr. He loves a scammer, and he's got this scammer on the hook, and he's saying to her, read a little.
I'll read a bit of some of it out.
But he does it forever. He's been doing it forever. He gets a scam. Read a bit out.
Yeah. Okay. So this lady's asking for money into her account.
Into a PayPal account.
This is the link, and he says yes, but you said something about clicking on a click. That's all. She said, yes, I said click on the link to buy me the gift card. Oh, okay, show me how, and I put $1,000 in now. And it just goes on and on.
Because she wanted $5,000 US, and he goes, oh, I would love to do that, but I'll just give you 50,000 rupiah. And then the scammer's obviously gone onto the computer and said, oh, no, that's only like $50 Australian.
Yeah.
Oh, he's very, very
So
good.
she comes back to him and says, okay, darling. He says, how dare you call me darling? I've got a new girlfriend now.
Who wants more money than me?
Oh, what a champion.
He's the best.
Matthew, let's talk about Moses. Let's talk about the Red Sea has parted. And Moses isn't in there, but Jerome Luai, he's on a raft, and he's just going straight through it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, we lose nothing. He just comes into the side, and him and Nathan just automatically form combinations straight away. And a lot of times when a player comes into the side late, it's not so much a distraction, but it can be, we'll put it this, it can be if a playmaker comes in and then in a very short period of time has got to form a combination with the other half. They haven't played together, but these two blokes, I mean, it's not a problem. Like that, they wouldn't need to do one training session together, and they'll just run the show. So, yeah, we'll lose nothing there. Unfortunate, mate. I tell you, whilst it's a blow for New South Wales, it's a monumental blow for Parramatta. Boy, they're just starting to come good.
So it's not a tear; it's just a strain.
A strain is okay.
That's what we're hearing. But I tell you what, the bookies have said that. It's a blow for New South Wales because Queensland have been wound in a little bit.
2 point swing.
Yeah.
2 point swing.
Really?
Yeah.
So they're thinking that Moses... I mean, Luai, he won the series. He was arguably the second... I'm going to say he was the second best player for New South Wales behind
I agree with that.
Well, I reckon, boys, it's my tip, back in for man of the match because... He's been at the Tigers working double time, trying to organise the team, trying to run to all those things, mate. He will just come into that side let Nathan run the show, and he will just play his best football. I think his game will go through the roof.
Hey, Matty,
he's my tip for man of the match.
You know what scares me the most about Queensland, and it's the C in brackets for Munster. Does that scare you at all?
Yeah, I reckon that I reckon dropping Daly Cherry Evans, I think part of it has got to do with wanting to give Munster the captaincy. Munster, his last Origin games probably was the quietest in his pretty remarkable Origin career, and I think that Billy's just poking him and saying, mate, like, yeah, I'm giving you the captaincy. This is what I expect. Yeah, you're right, Joel. One of the big factors in this is going to be if we can match their desperation, because I don't know a Queensland side that has so many questions put at them than this side after game one. And the questions are, you know, all around the Spencer Leniu thing. I mean, let's face it. In a lot of parts, they've had their courage and gumption questioned. Yeah. So you can only imagine, mate, they will come out in a frenzy. What goes well for us is the fact that it's in Perth. It's the conditions. It's dry. It's a fast track. You can move the ball around the park, and that's what we should do. Our yardage game is outstanding, but I think to start the game, we should be playing a little bit of sideline to sideline, not let those blokes get numbers into tackles. You know, just force them to defend one-on-one and try to take the wind out of their sails. And as the game starts to wear on, then start play through the middle a little bit. But I think early on we've got to use a bit of ball movement.
Well, it's going to be wet over there, Matthew. So,
is that what they're saying?
Yeah, Friday is going to be wet. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Tuesday, the day before the game, wet. They're saying between... can we get Tim Bailey on that for a second?
Tim Bailey there, Mitch.
They're saying it's going to be... it's only going to be 3 to 5 mils. But over there, that is an interesting thought, because I'm just thinking Harry Grant is the captain of Melbourne Storm. You've also got Tino, who's a captain. So, you think Billy Slater's just said, righto, Cam, we've obviously got captains, but I'm putting it all on you. You need to aim up.
Yep, I'm putting it on you. I think in the last 6 or 7 years, whenever Queensland has really upset New South Wales, Munster's been the best player on the field.
So, okay. Well, it's going to be. I think it's going to be. Well, it's their forwards. Their forwards have to aim up. That's simple as that.
Hey, boys, what about this? So this come through today, very sad. Brian Wilson, the Beach Boys visionary, he's died at 82. Do you know what happened, right? So in 2018, he returned to his old high school in Hawthorn, and he witnessed the literal rewriting of his past. The principal, so when he was at school, can you believe this? Brian Wilson, when he was at school, he got an F for music.
Wow.
So they took him back and they said, look, we've got to change this. So they took him back to school and they gave him an A after all those years.
Who was the teacher?
Yeah, well,
name the teacher.
I don't know the teacher, Brian.
See, this is why I have real problems with doctors and teachers. GPs, they can tell you one thing. I don't think they're just like, they're mere mortals. We put so much faith in them.
Yeah.
I know, Matthew, you had an incident with your man.
Numerous.
The teachers are the same.
He got an F.
True.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, Van
if
Gogh.
they're good at what they did, they'd be out in the real world.
Vincent Van Gogh failed art.
Did he?
He also chopped his ear off and buried it in a brothel. That's
David,
true.
Brian Wilson, I was surprised. I found out this morning and looked at the paper and saw Brian Wilson's, but it was almost like a byline. Like Brian Wilson, in my opinion, it's not enough has been made of it.
I agree.
When you talk about the greatest, the biggest music genius of all time, I reckon he's in the top 3. Paul McCartney, he rated him as number 1 as far as music genius in the 20th century. So, I'm a little bit surprised. I thought there'd be a lot more made of it with the great Brian Wilson. But you blokes were talking about... were you guys talking about bus trips before?
Yes. How good they were when you could get on the piss on the way home. Cam,
fantastic.
Of course, you'd have to have... Your bus rides are adding 3 hours on. You could have had all sorts of fun.
Mate, we were Sid Fogg's buses, and they actually fitted one out. It was called the Super Blue for the Knights, and mate, it was such a great bus. But I remember coming in the first grade side, and just mate, some of the older blokes were real scallywags. They're at the back of the bus just smoking joints right? on the bus on the way back, and then mate, some of the others over the years, right? What about this? You talk about player welfare. And it might have been 1991 or 1992. We played a trial game against Toowoomba up there in Toowoomba in the Darling Downs, and they sent a young team. We didn't send our sort of number 1 first grade side. So it was blokes like myself and Joey, Adam Muir, Rodney Howe, Robbie Ross. They put us on a bus, 13 hours up there. Right, we had a little stop halfway, had something to eat, got off the bus, got taped, played the game, back on the bus, 13 hours back. Right, Mate, we were, by the time I got off the bus, mate, we drank all the way home. Like, I was just... Mate, I couldn't even, mate, could not see straight. I rarely have I been so drunk. It was those bus trips on the way home, just, mate, so much fun. And the other one for you boys, in 90, this one, bad memories from my old mate Stephen Crow. Of course, it was a lightweight front rower playing for us. Anyway, we played a game against Illawarra. It was the last game of the year, an away trip, and so the drive home on the bus was just going to be like, yeah, epic. Just sauce all on, everything's going, mate. They got the beers on the bus ready. We play Illawarra. Now I'm trying to think of the guy's name. He played for the Bunnies and he played for Illawarra. He's a big hitter, Johnston.
Oh, Peter Johnston.
Peter Johnston.
Yeah.
So before the game, Joey and I are firing up Crowie. This is 1994, mate. Peter Johnston, mate, get after him, get to him first. You know, make a name for Crowie. Say, yep. So early in the game, he takes it up. Crowie hits him outside in. Mate, a cracker of a hit. Knocks Peter Johnston out, but Crowie actually breaks his sternum in half. Oh. Right? He was in agony on the field. He couldn't breathe. They'd come on, had to hit him with morphine on the field and get him off. Now, poor Crowie loved like that drive home on the bus more than anyone, particularly the last game of the year. But he's got his sternum is literally broken in half. They've hit him with morphine, and he has an allergy to morphine, a reaction to the morphine. All the way home, he's spewing with a sternum that's broken in half, right, mate? He was screaming, and you imagine us like we're already a Mad Monday. He's getting no sympathy at all from us.
They were so good, weren't they?
Oh, mate.
Oh, mate.
So, Matty,
betting on the bus,
and no one could escape.
No.
So, because it was such an intimate little environment, you could just come up with little games and challenges.
Oh, yeah.
Cards. It was just fun, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You know who I told Brian about in London? So we had these long trips like you would have had at Newcastle, and Russell Bowden would say, you know, if the coaches were coming up because we weren't supposed to be drinking, you know, ducks on the pond. You know, one of the lieutenants up on the top deck, it was Billy Peden. He was there, part of that.
Was he?
Oh, mate, what a great... You don't need me to tell you that. What a great bloke he is.
Champion Billy.
What are you looking forward to this weekend, Matty?
Oh, getting on the drink.
What are you watching at the moment?
I tell Stick. I've been watching Stick, the new show with Owen Wilson. It's on Apple.
The golf,
Apple TV.
The golf.
Yeah, the golf one. Yeah, I've been watching that. I'm enjoying it. But football-wise, Knights and the Roosters. Look at what at Sammy Walker, boys.
Oh, no.
Wow.
Yeah, it's rugby league moves in mysterious ways.
It does. The fickle gods of rugby league.
Speaking of fickle and the rugby league, Kalyn Ponga. Now, I'm going to put your CEO hat on, or chairman hat on, of the Newcastle Knights. He's been targeted by overseas rugby clubs. Would you let him go? There we go.
No.
No? Okay.
No, I wouldn't let him go. No way. No way I'd let him go. I mean, look, at the end of the day, if a player wants to go, it makes it very, very difficult. But if he come to me politely and said, listen, matey, this is what it is, I'd say, Kalyn, mate, you're the most important player. You're the most important person in this whole club. We just can't let you walk out. I've got, just having a look at the Knights roster, and man, they've got a bit of work to do, I tell you fellas, because I've got concerns around Kalyn. The rumours around the Roosters won't go away. Yeah. You've got overseas rugby clubs, you've got the All Blacks and everything that's going on, and you've got the Knights in the midst of it, having another struggling season. We've lost Leo Thompson. I don't think we haven't replaced Leo, and you've got the Perth Bears, and after that PNG coming in, we could be caught really short. Because when new teams come into the competition, there's always one or two clubs that get caught, basically holding the bag. Where you're short of some players. But yeah, I'm looking at our roster at the moment. We've got a bit of work to do.
But if he does go, because it's 2027, he's contracted until if the rumours are, because we are hearing these rumours about other clubs, and the Roosters have been mentioned. What if he comes next year? You're going to save 2.5. What would you say?
Yeah.
Nearly 3. You're going to save nearly $3 million.
But Fletch, who do we replace him with?
You got Dylan Brown.
That's the drama. Who replaces Kalyn? And at the moment,
you don't think Fletcher Sharp's ready to to step up in
Fletch, I think he is, but to remove Kalyn Ponga from that team, boy, mate, I'd fear that the arse would just drop out.
Right.
So, Fletch, the other thing is too, like, no matter how Kalyn's going, it does hurt who you want to sign.
Yes, they call that the lost leader. They call that lost leader in the game. He brings people.
Does he need to come out? Because it kind of feels like the whole time he's been at Newcastle, it's been unsettled. Does he need to come out as captain of the club and say, listen, guys, I am here to the end of 2027 full stop? Because this noise has been percolating for a long time.
Look, it'd be nice for as far as the Newcastle Knights are concerned and the supporters, but look, he's no duty to do it, boys. And the fact that he isn't talking about that, and that concerns me. I think I was talking to a bloke a couple of days ago, and he said he had a conversation with someone, and he said he was left under the impression that he felt like Kalyn almost had a toe in the Roosters camp already. Now I don't think that, but I certainly don't like the noises that are going on. Whether that be the All Blacks or the Roosters.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be interesting, especially if they keep, if they run stone motherless this year. Anyway, I don't know that you're right. It
makes it. We're in a we're in a precarious situation.
Now, MJ,
can I say with this, Matty? Sorry.
On a lighter note, yes.
So, are you ready to send me the money to PayPal now? Thank you, Pumpkin Nips. Yes, I am. I'm so ready. He said, I can only send a minimum of $5,000. She said, that's okay, honey. And then he said, oh, sorry, I'm in Japan. That's yen. We've got to go, Matty. Eric Grothe Jr.
New South Wales 21, Queensland 14. The Blues wrap up the State of Origin series for the first time.
Just imagine as being a young kid wanting to come through the ranks, and then the story ends this way. 265 premiership games for the mighty Eels, 4-time premiership winner, 17 tests for the Kangaroos. In 1986, the Golden Boot winner, so therefore judged as the best player in the world. 17 origins for the Blues, and starred in the Blues' first ever series win in 1985, which happens to be 40 years to the day. He is regarded as Blue number 36. And I speak of the great man, Brett Kenny. Welcome to the Run Home with Joel and Fletch.
G'day, boys. How you going?
I've always wanted to do this. Hey, Brett. How are you, Bert?
Oh, mate, I'm going all right. Geez, I was just getting a bit embarrassed with that rap.
Mate, you can't be embarrassed because you've got to earn this stuff. And Brian, that is one hell of a resume.
It's phenomenal. Immortal in waiting, I feel. I think we spoke to you last year when you were going for the immortal.
I think I was favourite till I spoke to you guys, and then that was it.
That's right, because you were giving us a bit of a tour of the hotel, and
that's right.
Were you blowing up? There wasn't a bath or something. You said there wasn't a bath. Bert, I want to ask you this. So 5 years, right, since when Origin started in 1980. The filthy Queenslanders won 5 of those series. When you finally got the job done in 1985, I want to try and compare it with a premiership win. Was it similar feeling?
Oh, mate, yeah, it was. I mean, you got to remember back then too, the media sort of got hold of Queensland and was saying, Queensland want to win the series more than New South Wales. They always want to win the games, and I thought, well, it was a bit different when I'm in camp with these blokes because they all wanted to win. We always wanted to win the games, and I guess for us, winning game 1 in Brisbane was very important. We're not overly confident, but we were quite quietly confident, that we could win in Sydney because we'd done that in previous years. I mean, every other year as you said, Queensland won the first 4 or 5, but they won them 2-1 because we'd always win the game in Sydney. And so we were quietly confident after winning game 1 that we could win the series because it was based in Sydney.
Do you
and yes, it is. It is very much like winning a premiership for your club. We were representing New South Wales, and this was the first time we'd won a premiership at Origin.
Bert, the birth of Origin, it was huge, but when Queensland won those 5 in a row, do you feel the interest had dropped off? I mean, I was only a kid at the time, but as a player, was the media sort of had dropped off a bit?
Well, I think it was, but I think, and they were also pushing Queensland all the time. You know, it was always Queensland, we're going to do this, and Queensland, we're going to do that. And I think they got to the stage where they thought, yeah, we just wouldn't be able to win a game.
Right.
But I mean, when we won, as I said, we won that first game in Brisbane. I think the crowd in Sydney was enormous. You know, I think it was a full house at the cricket ground, and I think all the supporters then started to realise that, you know, geez, New South Wales, we're a big chance to win the series here. And so they all came out and supported us. And it was great to be able to win, and it was great to be able to win for Steve Mortimer. You know, he's a very good captain, a very emotional captain. He'd always give it to me at times because he used to stop the bus on the way to the ground. He'd get up and have a bit of a chat, and I'd be at the back of the bus laughing my head off, you know, not too loud, but just snickering, because I just found it funny with his emotions and everything. It was really funny. He used to say to me, Bert, look, I'm trying to be serious, and when I'm in the bus, and here you are laughing at me. And I said, mate, I didn't mean it. It's just, you know, it's just me. I couldn't take it all that seriously, you know. But yeah, he was a very emotional captain. It was great to actually win for him.
What was? I always wanted to know. I mean, there's that famous Challenge Cup final. You got your hands in your pockets, but you've said you were cold. Is that the way you handled nerves? Did you have a bit of a joke around? Is that the way that you calm yourself?
Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, everyone's different, and I mean, I had to learn pretty quickly who I could muck around with before a game, you know, and I learned pretty quickly not to sort of have a bit of a joke with Ray Price or anyone like that. You leave him on his own. But yeah, you know, I used to, at Parramatta, I used to come in, I'd watch the reserve grade the first half, and then at half time they'd have the cheer girls out doing dancing and to a song, and a lot of times it might have been a Michael Jackson song, and I'd be walking in the dressing room singing the song and mucking around it, and but that was just my way of calming the nerves.
Yeah.
And the same with when I was at Wembley, you know, I put my hands in my pocket. I honestly didn't know what to do with my hands. When I was standing there and we got introduced to all these dignitaries and that, I really didn't know what to do with my hands. I just told people, yeah, they were cold, but I felt awkward having them down by my side or having them behind my back. So I just said, I'll put them in my pockets. And then, you know, but no one complained when I put my hand out to shake hands. It wasn't a problem there. It was just, I think the media and some people didn't like it.
That game, 80, was that also 85, Bert?
Yeah. I actually, to be honest with you, I didn't think I'd be selected to play for New South Wales because I'd been in England.
Oh, right.
Earlier on in the year. I didn't think I'd get selected, but I did. And I was happy I was.
Do yourself a favour, folks, if you have not seen on YouTube, go and look at the 1985 Challenge Cup final.
Was that against Sturlo? Was Sturlo playing for Hull?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sturlo and John Muggleton were playing for Hull, and there was myself and John Ferguson playing for Wigan.
Tell you what, Bert, you had an absolute day out in that game. In fact, all the Aussies played sublime. Every single Australian in that game at Wembley, which we just had Wembley, by the way, where Willie Peters, friends of the show, he won the game coaching Hull KR. But just John Ferguson, this bloke, Chicka Ferguson, and I remember when Tim Sheens came to the club, and I'll mop up a couple of things that you've said, but one of the things he said about us youngsters, he said, this John Ferguson, you've got to watch tape after tape after tape. He was an absolute megastar. And then going back to your fun and frivolity in big games, he also said, Tim Sheens, that to win a comp, you need somebody to take the gloss off. Things can get too serious. And it sounds like, Bert, that was sort of your role.
Yeah, look, it could have been. I mean, I know I didn't sort of go in there in teams and that to do that sort of job, but it was just the way I was, you know. I used to get nervous at home before a game and that, but I used to walk out onto the field. People said, oh, you know, was that a superstition? I said, no, the truth was I used to get tired when I ran out. I'd get out in the middle of the field and I was puffing and blowing. I said, because he used to do that as a kid, and I never thought any different. And then I saw, I think, the Hughes boys playing for the Bulldogs in the grand final against the Roosters, I think 1980, and they walked onto the cricket ground and no one said anything. And I thought, that's me. Yeah, I'll do that. I'm sick and tired of getting out there, you know. And I don't know, you guys, have you ever run from the fence out to the middle of the cricket ground? Yeah. Mate, it's a long way.
It is a long way.
And I tell you what, And I was stuffed by the time I got out there, and I think, Christ, now I've got to play 80 minutes of football yet.
I can see the headlines
So
here.
I thought, I'll walk out.
I can see the headlines here. What made Brett Kenny the player he was? I was sick and tired of being tired. Bert, I want to circle back. So when you say Brett Kenny, it is synonymous with the name Peter Sterling. And what a great partnership combination that was. But I want to circle back to the 85 series where you mentioned your captain, who you were mucking around with. But for the younger audience, Steve Mortimer, who didn't go on to have the his career wasn't as public as Sterlo, of course, through the footy show, etc. But tell us about Turvey.
Oh, mate, look, I always say he was a great captain and a great player. I mean, he played, I don't know how many tests for Australia. You play for Australia, you're no bum. You know, you're a quality footballer, and he certainly was. You know, but the difference between him and a lot of other guys is just his emotion for the game, and I think that was the thing that I sort of noticed a lot was, and the other thing is the guy never shut up on the football field. I couldn't believe how he could keep talking all that time on the field, you know. As I said, I'd get out there, I wouldn't say much at all because I was too tired, but he would talk, and he was, you know, and the way he spoke to people before the game and that the players, and you could see and hear it in his voice how important this game was for him. And you know how much he wanted to win, and I thought, you know, I mean, we all want to win, but you could just see that that was everything for him, and he's such a great bloke that you just wanted to do it for him, and as I said, a great player, you know, one of the great halfbacks. You talk about great halfbacks, he's one of the great halfbacks. I always remember Sterlo saying that, you know, he used to look up to Turvey. He remember seeing when he was a young kid down in Wagga, and Turvey had come from down that area and he was playing first grade, and Sterlo thought, you know, that's what I want to do. And you think this is what he did. He inspired young guys to go on and become halfbacks and play top level football. But he was just, as I said, he was one of the great halfbacks and a great bloke, but a very emotional captain, and it meant the world to him to be able to captain New South Wales for their very first Origin series win.
But what about you playing six? So up against, they say, the king of Origin, Wally Lewis. Your record is 8 wins and 4 losses when you're both at 5-8. And Wally Lewis has come out and said, we couldn't believe when the team sheets came out and Brett Kenny wasn't at 6. Were you aware? Were you aware that you sort of had it over him when you were playing at 6, or what was the feeling like going in playing against the king?
Look. I enjoyed playing against Wally. You know, I enjoyed playing against a lot of times. You know, I think, oh Christ, you know, I knew it was going to be tough. You know, and as I said, I enjoyed playing against him because of the type of game I've got to play, and you knew it was going to be a hard game. He was the best player in the world, you know, and the best 5'8" in the world, and you're playing against him. I thought, well, here's an opportunity for me to show how good I am. You know, you're coming up against the best. So I enjoyed it that way. It was always tough. I mean, I hated having hard games. I'd like to be able to just go out and do what I want to do and make it easy, you know. But, you know, Origin, that ain't going to happen, and especially playing against Wally Lewis, you know. And look, I don't have any problem, you know, people say, oh, you know, they say Wally Lewis is a better player than you, you're better than him. I said, look, I don't really care. It doesn't bother me. I'm just happy that my name gets mentioned in the same breath as Wally Lewis. You know, they say Wally Lewis, Brett Kenny, or Brett Kenny, Wally Lewis. And I said, there was a bloke by the name of Terry Lamb.
Yeah.
That could have done the same thing. It's just that I got a jump on him. We won games, and so they kept the side together. But Barr was always there on the bench, not just for New South Wales, but for Australia. And, you know, I always approached the game against Terry Lamb the same way as I approached the game against Wally Lewis. That's how highly regarded I think of Barr, you know. And he was another one you knew, oh, geez, it's just going to be a tough game, this one. Because you just knew how good he was. And it's the same with Wally. You know, Wally was great. And, I mean, people talk about the 82 Kangaroo Tour where I played 5'8" and he was on the bench at times. And he was great for me. You know, he used to talk to me all the time about the game and you know, what to look for and try and do things and that. And, we become great mates. We did a lot of publicity work for the Origin and, you know, so we spent a lot of time together.
Final question, Bert, and you're talking about famous number sixes, yourself, Terry Lamb, of course, the great King, Wally Lewis. There's a Parramatta number 6 at the moment for New South Wales in Moses. But I want to ask you about Munster. He's the captain of Queensland now. Does that give us reason as New South Wales supporters to be nervous, do you think?
Yeah, look, I think it does. I'm a big fan of Cameron Munster's. I like the way he plays the game. He's not too structured. He sort of plays what he sees in front of him, and I like that. I think that's what you got to do. To me, you're playing in the 6. You're looking to sort of set your players up on the outside of you. You're looking to put them into holes. That's what you want to do. You're doing that, and you're making these guys, the centres, they're the ones that want to run and score tries, and you're the person that's going to help them do that. And with the captaincy, I think that's going to add probably a little bit of pressure on him, but I think he'll perform better because he's the captain. He'll believe that he's got to do things now, and I don't think he did a lot in the game in the first one, and. Daly Cherry Evans, look, I don't think he played all that well either, and he didn't play that well for Manly the week after that. But a lot of times you look at it, I think Queensland forwards did nothing. It's very hard for the halfback to perform when your when your forwards don't perform, and I think that's the unfortunate thing for Cherry Evans. I think that's what happened. He's ended up being the scapegoat a little bit and that, but. I think with Cameron Munster being captain and that, and of course this game they need to win, I'd be very wary of what he's going to do. I think, he's a guy that they've really got to make sure they stop early.
Brett Kenny, we could have had hours with you. The board's lit up. They absolutely love hearing from you. We'd love to get you in the studio one day. But, Bert, 40 years today, 1985, New South Wales clinched their first ever series, of which you were an integral part. You've been an integral part of our show this afternoon. Thank you so much for joining the run home.
Thanks, boys. Enjoy it.
Thanks, Bert.
Like to be on again. It's great.
Can't wait. We'll get him in next time, Brian. Yes. Bert Kenny.
He's one of the greats at doing this too.
Is he?
Yeah, mate.
Is he?
Yeah, we had him in City, and I was doing it in the back of the bus, and then he just started. Anyway, sorry, I digress. You're still here? We'll see more on the Joel and Fletch socials and catch us live on SEN Radio, because if you don't, you're an A grade, but if you do, you're the absolute Mickey.